Morning, everyone. Today, I just want to discuss labor in respect of misconduct. What is misconduct? Misconduct is doing something that you are not allowed to do because of, remember, each employer, they've got their own code of conduct, and you need to know what is wrong and what is not wrong. So, what are forms of misconduct? I'm going to address a few. It's going to be your absence from work. You find that you have other people, they don't come to work for a period of time, and they just disappear and say nothing. And after days or months, they come back and say, no, it's because of, some of them, they would say, especially our own people, they normally will come with a note coming from a traditional healer to say, no, this person was undergoing whatever that they do when they go for their training to become doctors, or a note that would come and say, no, we were treating this person because of they had health issues. It is allowed that you can go to a traditional healer and bring a medical note from the traditional healer. Yeah, but in most cases it's challenging, but it's not something the courts will accept it. The fact remains a traditional healer is considered a doctor. So you need to know that you cannot be absent from work for a period of time without the employer knowing where you are. And we have abusive language and racist comments while we're coming from an apartheid era, whereby we still have some of our employers who are very racist, who would comment in such a way that it's considered as racism. It's happening, it's even happening in our courts. We're not treated the same because of the color of your skin. So when you say you use abusive language, which a lot of employees, it depends on the environment where they work, they tend to meet a lot of abusive language coming from their employers. I worked for an employer who had standard 8 but had legal service office where I was a legal advisor, and hey, that gentleman, yeah, he used to call us names. So some of us, we've had to endure that, but it was for a limited time. I couldn't stay in that environment. Assault, if you fight within the premises, and at the same time, it depends who you are assaulting. If you assault your superior, unfortunately, it's considered a misconduct. Damage to property, competing with the employer, which is conflict of interest. Competing with an employer is that you do the very same work outside. Let's say you are working for a company, you're working with something, then during your off days, then you do the very same work for clients. It's considered conflict of interest because some people, while they are there, I think many of us, we've met people like that. Let's say they are working in car dealership and they are the mechanics there, and then you want your car to be serviced. So in most cases, because servicing a car sometimes is very expensive, then you decide, no man, then he says, no, it's fine, the mechanic, here's my number, I can come and do your vehicle for you. it's considered a conflict of interest, the employer will dismiss you for that. The other thing is disclosing confidential information. When you're working for a company, in most cases, you need to be very careful and not disclose the information to the competitors. You can be, it's regarded as misconduct and you will be dismissed for that. Dishonesty, well, cases of dishonesty, unfortunately, that one is automatic dismissal. There's no disciplinary for you. When it comes to alcohol abuse or drug abuse at work, what is going to happen is that before the employer and poor performance, what needs to happen is that the employer, before they dismiss you, they need to take you like for training if it's poor work, and when it's drug or alcohol, they need to take you for rehabilitation. And well, and if it fails, then that's when they would actually dismiss you. What happens when you take the employer's property without being authorized? The same is regarded as misconduct, and you're going to be dismissed for that. And in this case, I found an article where an employee that was doing well, actually, he was earning 83,500 rands per month. That is a good salary, even though there will be deductions, but the fact remains is that that was a good salary. However, he then decided that he wants to study further, and he asked for a bursary, and really the employer granted him a bursary. And the employer then paid 25,500 in his account to pay towards registration. And the employee, I think, when money comes during at 12 midnight or AMs, and you are woken up by that sound, beeping sound, and I think he looked at it and he was like, "No, I'm not paying the full amount. I'm going to pay 10,000 rands, and I'm going to keep the 15.5 for myself, for my personal use." That's not his money. That is the employer's money. The permission was for him to pay to the university, not for his personal use. So this gentleman decided, no, I'm going to use it for myself, and that is what he did. So the institution at a later stage decided, no, Menier, you are still owing us. We need this money. And they sent him a statement of account, and the statement said, "Ma'am, sir, you still have to pay us 37,000 rands or more." And the employee thought he's clever. He then takes the 37,000, takes it to the employer and says, "Hey, employer, look, the university wants this money settled." And unfortunately, the employer said, "But we gave you 25,000 rands. Why now are we owing 37,000 rands? Because I believe what is still outstanding for us to pay is 20,000 and some couple of hundreds. And I don't understand why are we now owing 37,000? And the gentleman was like, "Oh, okay." And I think this is the conversation that took place. Now, the thing is, I paid 10,000 rands, and I used 15,000 rands, and now the employer, the institution, they want them total amount settled. And I think he thought he was clever at the time, but the employer said, "No, but we are not going to pay that amount. You have to settle the amount that you're owing, and you're still going to pay the interest towards that. We are not going to cover for that interest." Immediately thereafter, they took him for disciplinary hearing, where he was actually dismissed for what he has done. The gentleman then, he thought, nah, I cannot be dismissed for using 15,000 rands, which he actually settled, but there was still 500 rands that he still had to pay. But after his dismissal, then he took the matter to the labor court, and the labor court, his argument was that, but why did the employer pay the amount into my account? They should have paid directly. They should have known. I think that is how it was argued. They should have known that if they pay it into my account, I might use it. So they needed to pay it directly. So I don't understand, why should I be dismissed for the fault of the employer? But what they failed to understand was that that money was not for his personal use. That money was meant for him to pay towards the fees, not for his personal use. And I think it's the same as those that are getting, I tend to not call it properly. I don't know whether it's NEFSAS, but yeah. It's the same thing. They give you money to pay towards something, and you don't use it for that. So it's considered a misconduct, and you can be dismissed for that. And the sad part of it is that now this gentleman, he's lost 83,000 rands, which was something that he was receiving on a monthly basis. Even though according to him, and maybe according to his lifestyle, 83,000 rands, it was nothing. While we see it, it's a lot of money. And secondly, he has lost some of the monies that he would have benefited if he left the employee on good standing. Thirdly, he is going now to struggle to actually secure a position in any other reputable company. So sometimes most people, they tend to forget, and they think they will not be caught. And when they do all these things, unfortunately, you lose a lot sometimes, especially because he was a young man. According to what I think he was he was not that old. Maybe they would have mentioned his age. Or he was a middle-aged man, but for him to keep that 15,000 and still go to the employer and try to be clever around it. So he lost a lot for 15.5. Now he's going, maybe let's say he's in his 40 something, turning 50. So the age is working against him at the same time. However, the only thing that he can do is to start his own business. But why I wanted you to know, there's a lot of things that we don't take into consideration. Now there's falsification of records, and it's a new thing. We have a lot of people, especially we've seen that with our parliamentarians, where they have stated that they've got certain degrees, they've got masters, they've got PhD, and mostly they say they've got these things from outside the country. That is why I said I think it will be best that everybody with a certificate that was acquired outside the country, I think it will be good that it is investigated, and so that we don't have situations whereby we then at a later stage we find out. And it's not a lot of people that have been arrested, because it's still a criminal offense at the same time. So it's not about work only. It's a criminal offense. So whenever you think of lying about your qualifications, please take into consideration that it is a criminal offense. You will be arrested. And I think there's a case that recently I read about where the person was found guilty and sentenced for falsifying his qualifications. So I hope this information will come in handy, and when you think to Hotswara or Tata, Ubanesandla, you will think twice. Have a lovely day. Bye.